Hello, this is the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Thank you so much for tuning into this video in which we will look at HCF, highest common factor, and LCM, lowest common multiple. So any two numbers will always have a highest common factor because any two positive integers share a factor of 1. 1 may be the highest common factor, it may not be. Similarly, any two numbers will also have a lowest common multiple because if you multiply two numbers together, A and B, you get AB, which is a multiple of both. So let's look at how we actually find them. So let's look at finding the highest common factor of 60 and 84 and the lowest common multiple of 60 and 84. So what we can do is we can draw some factor trees. So we saw this in a previous video. So if we look at 60, we can just choose any two numbers that multiply to 60 as long as neither of those numbers is 1. So 10 is not prime, so we factor it as 5 times 2. 6 is not prime, so we factor it. So 60 is equal to 5 times 3 times 2 squared. That is its prime factorization, and we learned about them in a previous lesson. So 84, we're going to do the same thing. Any two factors of 84 will do, as long as neither is 1. So 7 is prime, so we can't factor 7 anymore, but 12 is composite, so we factor it 4 times 3, and then we can factor 4 as 2 times 2. So 84 is equal to 2 squared times 3 times 7. So we can use these prime factorizations to calculate highest common factor and lowest common multiple. So what we can do is start here with a Venn diagram. So it's a rectangle that encloses two overlapping circles. So we have the 60 circle and the 84 circle. In the middle, you put the factors that are common to both. So note, both of the prime factorizations have two 2's and a 3. So I put two 2's and a 3 in the middle. So I need all of the numbers in the 60 circle to multiply by 60. So 60 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 5. So I need to put a 5 here. Similarly, 84 is 2 times 2 times 3 times 7. So I need to put a 7 there. So the highest common factor of 60 and 84, I just multiply these numbers together in the middle. 2 times 2 times 3 is 12. So the highest common factor is 12. The lowest common multiple is the product of all of the numbers inside the Venn diagram. So 5 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 7. An easy way to look at it is 60 times 7. So the lowest common multiple is 420. So this is an effective way to do it when the numbers are not so large, but it would take a long time when we have larger numbers. So there's another way that we can find the highest common factor and lowest common multiple. We're going to do that now using the Euclidean algorithm. So the Euclidean algorithm is based on the idea that if I want to find the highest common factor of any two numbers, it's always a factor of their difference. So the difference between these two numbers is 448. The highest common factor has to be a factor of the difference. So here's how we're going to do it. What we do is we start with the larger number and we subtract multiples of the smaller number until the remainder is less than that smaller number. What does that mean? Well, 320 goes into 768 two times. So 2 times 320 is 640. So I need another 128 to get to 768. It turns out the highest common factor of these two numbers is actually going to be the highest common factor of 320 and 128. So I'm going to repeat this process. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to write 320. So 128 goes into 320 twice. So that's 256. And I need another 64. So now I'm going to repeat the process. Turns out highest common factor of these two numbers is going to be the same as the highest common factor of 128 and 64. 128 is 2 lots of 64. The highest common factor of 128 and 64 is 64. So we stop there when we have no remainder. The highest common factor of these two numbers happens to be 64. So how can we use that to find the lowest common multiple? Well, it turns out the lowest common multiple of any two numbers is just the product of those two numbers divided by their highest common factor. So what we're looking at here is finding the highest common factor using the Euclidean algorithm and then using that to find the lowest common multiple. So the lowest common multiple of 320 and 768, what I need to do is multiply together those two numbers and divide by their highest common factor. So if you're doing this without a calculator, you might know 64 goes into itself once, it goes into 325 times. So the lowest common multiple is 5 times 768, which turns out to be 3,840. All right, how easy is that? Thanks so much for tuning into this video. This has been the luckiest maths teacher in the world. Have a great day.